Everywhere I look these days, someone's buying an RV, folks hitting the road, parking up in campgrounds and calling it freedom. And, hey, I get the appeal, but when I hit retirement age and started looking for a new adventure, I went the other direction. Literally. I bought a sailboat. Now, people thought I was nuts. They asked, why not just get an RV like everyone else? But something about asphalt and rest stops didn't call to me the way the open sea did. I didn't want to be boxed in by traffic, highways, or weekend warriors. I wanted tides, trade winds, and turquoise water outside my window. So today, I want to share why I chose the sea over the road. From the freedom to roam without reservations, to the peace you feel when the only sound is wind in your sails, I'll walk you through 10 reasons why trading 4 wheels for a floating home was the best decision I ever made. If you're torn between RV life and sailing life, or just daydreaming about your next big move, stick around. This might be just the nudge you need to think differently about your next chapter. With an RV, your journey is mostly mapped by roads. Sure, you can go left or right at a fork, but your path is always confined to the pavement. On a sailboat, the world opens up. No traffic lights, no lane closures, just wind and water, and the freedom to go wherever the current and your curiosity takes you. When I started sailing, I realized just how liberating it is to move without restrictions. Want to head to that little cove on the far side of the bay? Drop anchor there tonight. Feeling adventurous? Set your course for a new coastline entirely. There's a kind of movement on water that doesn't exist on land. It's smooth, continuous, and somehow more human. Sailing teaches you to read nature instead of signs. You learn to plan with the weather, adapt to the sea, and discover places you simply can't reach by road. The ocean doesn't come with speed limits or toll booths. It offers you a vast, liquid highway, one that changes daily and never grows dull. That kind of freedom isn't just exciting, it's addictive. One thing you notice pretty quickly on a sailboat is the silence. Not the creepy kind. This is the good kind. The kind that lets your brain breathe. Out there on the water, the constant hum of traffic, sirens, and crowds just disappears. All you're left with is the wind, the water, maybe a few seabirds, and your own thoughts. Compare that to a crowded campground. Generators buzzing, kids shouting, dogs barking, RVs pulling in and out at all hours. You're never fully off when you're parked on land. It's like you've just moved into a mobile suburb. But on a boat, peace isn't the exception. It's the norm. At anchor, it feels like the whole world has taken a deep breath. Even the gentle rocking of the boat adds to the calm. I've had nights where the stars looked close enough to touch, and mornings where the only sound was a dolphin surfacing next to the hull. That peace does something to you. It quiets your nerves, resets your mind, and reminds you what it feels like to just be. No distractions, no noise, just you and the rhythm of the sea. If you've ever tried booking an RV campground in peak season, you know the drill. Full, booked months in advance, or worse, packed in like sardines between 50 other rigs with barely enough room to open your door. It's not exactly the freewheeling lifestyle people imagine when they buy an RV. Now, picture this. You sail into a quiet bay, drop anchor wherever you like, and the whole place becomes your front yard. No reservations, no check-in times, no $15 dump fees. Just you, the water, and the freedom to stay as long as you want. Boating offers a level of flexibility that RVing just can't match. Sure, you need to watch the weather and mind the rules about anchoring in some places, but most of the time, there's space, and you're not jockeying for a sliver of shoreline among a dozen diesel pushers. I've spent weeks hopping from one anchorage to the next without a single booking or reservation. That spontaneity is priceless. It keeps things relaxed, open-ended, and full of little surprises. Honestly, it feels more like living with nature than just parking next to it. People often assume sailing is only for the rich, but they're thinking of luxury yachts and charter trips. The truth is, a modest sailboat can cost far less than an RV, especially over time. And once you're out there, the expenses can drop dramatically. Start with fuel. A sailboat runs on wind most of the time. You might use your engine now and then, but you're not topping up gas tanks every few days like with an RV. Marinas aren't free, but many anchorages are, and you can stay there for days or even weeks without spending a dime. Maintenance is real, no doubt. Boats need love, but so do RVs. Tires, engines, brakes, plumbing, it all adds up either way. In my experience, the costs balance out over time, and with sailing, you're not constantly paying campground fees or tolls. Then there's food and living. If you provision well and learn a few tricks, you can live cheaply aboard. Catching your own dinner now and then doesn't hurt either. Sailing life is simpler by nature, and that simplicity has a way of saving money while giving you more in return. Sailing brings you closer to the natural world in a way that's hard to describe until you've felt it. You don't just pass through landscapes, you live in them. The sea becomes your front yard, the sky your ceiling. You rise and sleep with the sun, you adjust your plans based on wind, tides, and weather. Suddenly, nature isn't something you visit, it's part of your daily rhythm. I've watched stingrays glide beneath my boat while sipping coffee at sunrise. I've heard whales at night, felt the air shift before a squall, and seen shooting stars streak across a pitch-black sky. Every day offers a front-row seat to something awe-inspiring. That's not to say RV life can't be scenic, but you're often observing nature from a parking spot, behind a pane of glass. On a sailboat, you're in it, you're moving with it, and that constant, intimate connection does something to your soul. You learn to respect the ocean's moods, to savor the calm, and to stay alert when conditions shift. It's a relationship, not just scenery. And that relationship is what makes sailing feel alive, personal, and deeply grounding in a way few other lifestyles can match. There's something powerful about knowing you can keep going. No borders, no fences, no signs telling you to turn around. Just endless water and possibility. On a sailboat, the horizon isn't a limit. It's an invitation. You're not boxed into campsites, highways, or dead ends. You can set your course for a different place every day, or just drift under the stars until something calls you. It's more than just the physical space, it's the mental freedom, too. There's a real sense of expansion when you realize you could head to another town, another island, even another country, all without packing a bag or starting an engine. You don't get that in an RV. You're bound by roads, traffic, and rules. Sailing gives you a taste of the old world kind of travel, the kind where you follow the wind, not a GPS, where you're not just going somewhere, you're arriving, slowly, meaningfully, fully aware of the world around you. That feeling? It's hard to describe, but once you've felt it, you never forget it. It makes the ocean feel less like water and more like home. Living on a sailboat teaches you what you really need, and what you don't. Space is limited, so every item earns its place. There's no room for 10 pairs of shoes or kitchen gadgets you'll never use. But somehow, having less doesn't feel like sacrifice. It feels like freedom. You start to notice how little stuff you truly rely on. A favorite mug, a sturdy jacket, a well-worn chart. Everything becomes simpler and more intentional. And in the process, your mind unclutters too. Fewer distractions, fewer choices. More time for sunsets, books, and quiet reflection. RVs can offer downsizing, sure, but it's easy to fill them up with things again. Boats are more unforgiving in that way, and that's a blessing. They nudge you toward a lighter life, both physically and mentally. I've found that the less I own, the more I enjoy what I do have. Every little luxury, like a hot cup of coffee or a clean deck, feels like a win, and every day spent without digging through clutter feels like a deep breath of fresh air. Sailing strips away the excess and leaves you with what matters: the journey, the moments, and the peace that comes with space to think. If there's one thing that surprised me most about sailing, it's the people. I expected peace and solitude. What I didn't expect was the warm, open-hearted community I'd find floating out there. Sailors look out for each other. Maybe it's because we know what it's like to rely on wind, weather, and a bit of luck. Whether you're anchored next to someone in a remote bay or chatting over dock lines in a marina, there's an instant bond. You share advice, gear, stories, even meals. I've met people from all over the world just by dropping anchor next to them. Some are retired, some are raising kids aboard, others are just drifting through life in their own way. But there's always a sense of welcome. No one cares what car you drove before, what job you had, or how big your boat is. Online, too, the sailing world is full of encouragement and support. Forums, groups, even YouTube channels become little lifelines of knowledge and friendship. And here's the thing. It's not just about company. It's about belonging. When you sail, you become part of a tribe, one that's always ready to wave you in and offer a hand. Sailing isn't always easy. There are days when the wind doesn't show up, or it shows up too much. Lines get tangled, anchors drag, plans change. But that challenge, that's a part of what makes it so rewarding. Every problem you solve on a boat builds confidence. You learn to stay calm under pressure, think ahead, and adapt on the fly. It's like life distilled into a smaller space, with clearer consequences and faster lessons. At 60, 70, or beyond, learning new skills keeps your mind sharp and your spirit strong. And there's nothing like the feeling of docking smoothly in a tricky spot, setting your sails just right, or fixing something with your own two hands. Those wins stay with you. RVs have their quirks, sure, but sailing feels more alive. It asks more of you and gives more in return. It teaches you patience, resilience, and the value of slowing down. You'll curse the wind some days, but the first time you sail into a quiet anchorage, drop the hook, and watch the sun melt into the horizon, you'll understand. The hard days make the good days unforgettable. At the end of the day, I didn't buy a sailboat because it was cheaper, quieter, or more adventurous. Though all those things are true. I bought it because when I stepped aboard and felt the boat sway under my feet, something inside me said, yes. It's hard to explain if you haven't felt it, but sailing taps into something deep, something ancient. You're not just moving across water, you're connecting with it, with the wind, with the world. It feels real in a way that few things do. Every time I hoist the sail, I'm reminded I made the right choice. Not because it's perfect, not because it's easy, but because it speaks to me in a way asphalt never did. The road always felt like it was taking me to somewhere. The sea? It feels like it's taking me home. There's beauty in that. There's truth. And sometimes that's all the reason you need. So, while everyone else is lining up for RVs and highway miles, I'll be out here, chasing wind, not gas stations. If you're looking for real freedom, deep peace, and a little wild magic, the sea might be calling you too. And trust me, there's no better time to answer than now.